Hey love, don't you deserve great sex? We think so. Welcome to Sex in South Beach, where everybody comes to talk, listen, and learn about sex. Dr. Sonjia, welcome to my show, Sex in South Beach, where everybody comes to have healthy, happier sex.
Ooh, yeah!
Today's show is all about loving the ladies because so many more women are doing it these days, right? I mean, there is like an explosion of lesbians everywhere.
All right.
We're going to find out what really goes down in the bedroom. Do lesbians date the same way that straight people date? On what date do they start having sex? And actually, what does that sex entail? You know, is it all just oral? Is it just a choice that they're making? Or is this a biological drive to be with another woman? We all know women are capable of multiple orgasms. So do lesbians just like lay there all day and have orgasms?
Oh yeah!
Well, we are going to get to the bottom of this. Thank you so much for tuning in to Sex in South Beach. We'll be right back.
Yeah!
Because you know it's all about the sense, smells so good. It's all about the sense, smells so good. Yeah, it's pretty clear, the boys they follow me. Cause I shake it, I shake that sense on me. Then they go boom boom and then they start chasing. And wanna kiss me up in all the right places.
You go, girl, with a whole cart full of sense-stimulating body oil. I know you're about to get your groove on.
Can I tell you, the boys love sense even more than they love the bass.
Get yours today at drsonjia.com. Welcome back to Sex in South Beach with your girl, Dr. Sonjia.
All right. Yeah! There we go.
So today's show is called Lesbian Love. And to help us understand more about love between the ladies, we have my girl, Kiki, joining us. Oh, thank you so much for coming, Kiki.
Thank you for having me.
I'm so happy to have you here. So seriously, like, Lesbian Love, it must be really, really great.
All right!
Right?
I think it's wonderful that more women are feeling open to experimentation, perhaps, and if that leads to an actual lifestyle, that's one thing. I wish it were the same way for men. I think there's more stigma there.
Right. Just to be clear with the audience, because we actually didn't lay out your credentials, so you are like a full-fledged lesbian, is this right?
That is what my resume says, yes.
That's the resume line. Okay. So you're married to another woman.
I am married to a woman. We've been married for 3 years. We were married legally in New York.
Right, because all people should have equal rights, right? So how long have you been intimate with women? Because we just got to get a little background.
Sure.
Like your whole life, or?
I realized that I was a lesbian around age 17. I fell madly in love with my best friend, and of course I was petrified of telling her. So I played around the issue, and I was like, let's pretend to be lesbians. And she was like, okay. And then I'm like, let's kiss. And she's like, wait. You know, so that didn't go so well. And then I went to college, and I decided that I didn't want to be a lesbian. Because when I saw lesbians at college, they all had sort of shaved hair and wore Doc Martens. And there was like a rough aspect. And I was like, my parents they're not going to continue my tuition. You know?
Right,
so
right.
I was like, let me be straight. And then I went out with some guys, and long story short, I came out right after college. I was like, I have to just be me. I love it.
So as soon as your parents sent that last tuition check, you were like, I'm gay. I'm gay.
I was
Mom,
like,
I'm
here
gay.
it is, I'm gay. And fortunately, they took it quite well. So.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
That's very good.
Right, exactly. Right? But an interesting thing is, I knew I was a lesbian before I had sex with a woman. And it was an emotional feeling that I always had toward women. So I didn't have to do anything, but when I did come out, I chose to come out to my family and my friends after having been intimate with a woman, not to be like, think about me in bed with this woman, but to lend a legitimacy that I felt they would need to accept me as a lesbian.
Right, because you couldn't just say, well, I'm a lesbian and I don't have a girlfriend. They're like, well, how do you know you're really a lesbian? So you're like, you know what, I'm going to like cut this one off before they can even ask that question. I'm going to be one ahead.
I was one ahead.
And here's my girlfriend.
That's what
okay, you think I'm not gay? Look at my woman.
That's what I felt that I had to do, whereas if I were straight, I wouldn't have had to be like, here's my guy. You know?
Right. Isn't that something that people people never have to come out as like, hello, I'm heterosexual.
Right.
You never have to explain that. I mean, I do, because I'm often around people and they think I'm just everything because I'm talking about sex. I'm like, I was totally weird. I actually have a husband. I know. I'm so weird and a kid.
Conservative, right.
So, okay, why do you think that so many women are coming out as lesbians these days? Because 50 years ago, it was a crime for a woman to be with another woman. So, Katy Perry song, is that what you did it?
I love Katy Perry song.
Right.
I really think that a lot of women are interested in exploring whether or not they are either bisexual or lesbian, and they're willing to take the risk without repercussions. You know, when I came out to my parents, one of the first things I was told is, you can't take this back. My mom said that, and I was like, well, I don't plan to take it back. But
Anne Hatch took it back.
She took it back.
Ellen's girlfriend took it back.
So mad.
Right?
You know what? I was mad at her too. But Portia got right in there, and they are so hot.
Right. No, and I was thinking Portia was fake for a while too,
Yeah,
because I was like, after Anne, I'm like, Ellen needs to get off all of these like fallacious hot blondes, like, right?
Yeah.
You know,
Totally.
I'm all into Ellen's life, right?
Yeah,
Like,
and
I'm
I
not
love Ellen's
gay,
life.
so,
Yeah.
you know, I'm like,
Yes,
right?
exactly. You're so gay.
I know. I know. So, okay, so scientists have reported that 1% to 2% of women have always been gay, have always been either lesbian or bisexual since the beginning of time. But now in the United States, it's like 15% of women are actually claiming to be bisexual or lesbian. But get this, in New Zealand, it goes up. Let's say it's 16% of women in New Zealand and 20% of women in Norway are claiming to be lesbian or bisexual.
I'm moving.
Yeah, because you know these are still underreported. Because if anyone asks the questions, you know people are still in the closet about a lot of things.
Yes.
So this is really revolutionary to have. That's like 20%. That's a fifth of the women are saying yes, I am. Is it just because guys are like assholes?
I think it could be to appease men. I think a lot of people are having group sex, and when people have threesomes, we don't often see the 2 man, 1 woman. You know, we usually see 2 women, 1 man.
Right.
I also, you know, a lot of women, there's definitely a distinction between having had sex with a woman and being a lesbian.
So is that offensive in the lesbian world? Like, let's say I just want to explore. I don't know if I'm gay or not. I'm actually not even thinking about that. I just like, I want to do you.
You know what?
So,
in my opinion, let's do each other. I mean, because here's the thing.
This is an option. Okay, I know she's married. I'm just letting you know.
In the lesbian community, I'm the type of lesbian that I just want honesty. So when I was dating, you know, when I was actively dating, if a woman was honest with me and said, I don't know, I've never done this before, I want to try, I'm okay with that. Just don't pretend you're something you're not. That's what I prefer, is full honesty. I do know women, however, who are lesbians who will only go out with lesbians, and they're like, I don't want to, you know, I don't want to teach anyone. They say, I don't want to train anyone.
Right.
To me, and sex is, you have to train the person anyway. It doesn't matter what gender they are.
Exactly. And there are some people who are like, who they say they fall in love with a person, not necessarily a man or a woman. Right. So it could be someone just out there experimenting who happens to fall in love with someone. And actually, someone wrote a book about that recently. It just came out, A Year as a Lesbian. We're going to talk about that in just a second. But I wanted to know, before we go any further, so in the lesbian world, tell us, are there like super hotties like that you guys like idolize? Because I know you're like the lesbian representative of the world.
Of course,
right?
yes. I try to remind all into one. I've also had sex with all of them, but but you know, okay, so there's the femme category, which I would technically fall into, given that I wear dresses and jewelry, and I had long hair for most of my life.
And she's wearing blue eyeshadow. You might not be able to see.
Lipstick as well, also known as the lipstick lesbian.
Yeah.
Right.
Then there's the butch category. Butch is more, and this is not a woman who's transitioning her gender. This is not a woman who wants to be a man. It's a woman who identifies with a masculine role and wishes to adorn herself and take on the kind of character affects that are more what we would call masculine. But she's still a woman. She's still all woman.
Right. Okay.
And a lot of times there's an expression that goes around, butch in the streets, femme in the sheets, which suggests that the tougher a woman is on the outside, the more submissive she may be. And I've had some experience, and I would just say, stereotypes exist for a reason.
Wow! Really? Wow!
Sense is smells so good, I gotta have it and you should. Sense is for them lovers that wanna know how to stay excited. it. Don't believe me, just smell. Don't believe me, just smell. Don't believe me, just smell. Hey, 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 ho! Scent smells funky good. Scent smells funky good. Gets me more excited than I knew I could. You should really try it. Yes, you really should. Scent smells funky good. Scent smells funky good.
Get yours today at drsonjia.com. Let's get down into this. So, lesbian sex, a little bit. Okay, how does it start? For instance, so you see a girl, you see a girl and you're like, you make eye contact or something, and there's like, do you think, I wonder if she's gay or not, or
constantly. Yeah. And that's the tough thing is, you know, unless I'm at a gay event or in a gay nightclub or in a lesbian bar, I don't know, even there I don't know, but I don't know if, in general, if the person's gay or not. So a lot of times I've had to come out and just say, are you straight or are you gay?
Okay, so she says, okay, I'm gay. Or
Right.
she says, I don't know, I don't classify myself, but I like you too.
Right.
So then there's a date that goes down?
Yeah,
Or it's not like, because I know with a lot of my friends who are gay, my gay guy friends, and my husband has a joke about this, of course they have sex right away, because it's
Right.
two dudes. You need a girl there to say no.
Exactly,
The only people who say no to sex are girls, okay? So if you have two dudes, it's like, oh, let's bang each other. So, okay, with lesbians, it's like, let's wait it out, let's wait. No,
I would say there's usually a date. Now, can sex happen on the first date? Sure. It's not like lesbians are like, let's, wait. I mean, some do maybe. But in my experience with my group of friends, it can happen on the first date, but there's definitely a date and there's making out and there's some foreplay. It's not
Okay, so let's get into this. So, okay, now we're on date. We've gone on a date. We like each other. Now we're on date 2.
Okay.
Let's say. And so now, can we decide to do each other? Is that a respectable time?
Yeah, so
date 2. Okay, so now we're going to do each other.
Right.
Okay. So when we do each other, it's like, okay, we kiss, we make out.
We make out.
Okay, bra straps come undone.
Yeah.
Okay, fingers, what? You start, what
Well, yes,
happens? Where do the fingers go?
All right, you start sort of around the area with the hands in
Okay,
general because
okay.
you have to start establishing, and we all know where it's going. That's the thing. It's not like
Right, so you're down, you're moving down the waist, you're getting like your hands, now your hands are on her inner thigh.
Right, and like usually at some point I'll make some eye contact and I'll just ask for permission, I expect to get a yes, but I just want to be respectful.
Right, like it's not rape.
Right, it's not rape, right.
It's not rape.
You're
Okay,
18,
yes,
right? You
yes,
just turned
yes.
18? Okay, no. So,
Tight and young.
So now here's the thing. For lesbians, we classify sex as insertion of digits of fingers or hands, if that's the case, and or oral sex.
Okay.
So what this and usually I've never had an experience where the oral is just there's no fingers and we just dive right down. I've never experienced that. It could happen. But usually
normally there's a little finger action. But actually you can bring your finger up, take a whiff, make sure everything's pleasant down there.
Exactly. You can. One can do that, yes.
Right? Well, I mean, that's what I would do if I were in that situation. And then, so you bring someone to orgasm. You can bring someone to orgasm with a finger.
Usually an oral is combined. It usually involves oral sex and fingering at the same time.
Okay. Ooh.
It's getting complicated.
No,
I know.
that's good. No, because I think that this is something that's really important. I've always thought a benefit of being a lesbian would be that women know how to turn another woman on because you know what you like.
Exactly.
And so through a lot of education, my husband is amazing with being very creative and doing all kinds of things, but I think that we have a lot more conversation than most people do have around sexual pleasure.
I would imagine, right.
In my house.
Hello.
So when a woman's doing that, she really knows how she's really trying to make the other woman have an orgasm. So she's has her fingers in her, 1 or 2 fingers, whatever. She's also performing oral sex. And then, is there any mutual type sex? Or I have a question. Is one person more the receiver and the giver? Is it an equal opportunity? Or there's scissoring too?
There's scissoring. I guess people get off that way. It seems very challenging to me. Usually it's one person taking care of the other person. Then if it's a mutual relationship, hopefully they switch, and one person takes care of the other. I do like to check in with my sexual partners in the beginning to basically say, you know, what's your thing? What do you like? What do you enjoy? Because
see, this is another benefit of being a lesbian. A woman knows that each individual... Women talk. Right?
I talk.
Women talk.
Also, I mean, here's the thing, too. Women masturbate as well. Guess what? You know, and so we all have probably figured out ourselves at some point that there are things we like and things we don't like. And things we like more.
Right. So you ask your partner what they like, and then you try to provide.
Exactly.
So, okay, we talked a little bit in between, you know, studio breaks. We were talking about actually anal sex, because we have a show coming up on anal sex. And I was like, well, lesbians don't have anal sex, do they? Of course, me being a stereotyping people. And you were like, no, lesbians have anal sex.
Yeah.
They do everything.
Yeah.
So, okay, if you like anal sex, that involves a vibrator or dildo in the anus.
Or fingers.
Or
yes.
fingers in the anus, right? Exactly. And the same with vaginal sex. So why not date a guy? So I asked this question because I have a friend who's a transvestite.
Okay.
Born a man.
Mm-hmm.
But when he was born, said, I am a female lesbian in my brain.
Okay.
Actually, after being married, fathered 2 children, and then switched.
Okay.
Had gender reassignment and is now a lesbian. Well, always was a lesbian, but is now a female without a penis. And her father couldn't understand it. He's like, so you're going to chop it off so you can strap one on? And she's like, yeah, Dad, that's what you got to do. Because the thing about lesbians is they really are against dick.
Well, you know, I know many lesbians that are pro fake dick.
Right.
And I would say the strapping it on concept, this is still, you know, a lot about the sex being in the brain. Because to me, I want to know that I'm having sex with a woman. Now, whether that woman has put on an appendage that looks like something a man would have, I really don't care. I mean, in fact, for me it's hot. For many women it's hot.
Right.
But you still know that's a woman. There's something that's so psychological about it.
Right.
That's how I feel like sexual orientation is distinguished from just the act.
Absolutely, because you did date guys as well.
Definitely
before.
dated guys. I've had sex with men. Yep.
Right, and you prefer sex with a woman.
Definitely.
Right. So this is really, this goes back to the point that sexual orientation for many people, or I would argue for all people, but just for the sake of argument, you know, it is, do you think it's biological rather than a choice? Or do you think you being a lesbian is a choice, or you think you were born as a lesbian?
I will tell you, I feel like I was born as a lesbian, and one of the reasons I truly feel this is that I didn't want to be one. When I was young, in that gap of age 17 to 21, I was, you know, getting an Ivy League education. I was living in the Northeast. I was an only child, really expecting to give my parents a husband and grandchildren, you know, into the family. And the last thing I wanted to do was come home and be like, I'm the child that should be the sibling of the child that that should always be. So and coming out to me, I didn't want to. And that's why I say that it was not a choice.
Right.
I did choose over time, though, to be very out. I mean, people have choices about how out they are. And I'm out to everyone at work, etc. I feel like it's a responsibility I have, and maybe I'm taking on too much, but I want lesbians and gay men and everyone in this world, bisexuals, transgendered individuals, to not have to, you know, be a big deal to anyone anymore. So I'm just like, here it is, you know?
Right. And that's really my mission. I hope by the time I die that people talk about sex like they talk about the weather.
Thank you.
Because it's more important than the weather.
It is!
I mean, here we go. Really quick, have you ever heard about the lesbian deathbed?
Oh, yes.
So, this is a theory that a sociologist years ago came up with. And the premise of this theory is that of all couples, that lesbian relationships, the sexual drive in lesbian relationship dies faster and quicker than any other type of coupledom, so to speak. And the longer that women are together, the more likely that sexual sort of interaction and desire for each other dies down. So give us your insight on this.
I would like to say this is a myth, but I do think that there is much reality in it. Very often men are the initiators of sex, and it's interesting, as a very sexual person, I've at times, you know, wanted to be with men, not because I suddenly became straight, but because I sense more desire coming from them than I do from women. And we all want to be wanted. We want to be wanted. So I think what happens in lesbian relationships is that external desire starts to diminish, and the other person is like, well, you know, I don't feel like you want me, so I don't feel sexy anymore, so I'm not going to be, you know, desirous of you, and so it kind of perpetuates each other. I believe it exists, and I think women have to work hard at it. To me, communication is hot. Communication is sexy. Even if I just sit down with my partner and I'm like, hey, we haven't had sex in 2 weeks, like, what's up? That in and of itself can help break a spell of LBD, as it were.
right, LDB. So yeah, so it does happen. So just to wrap it up, I do want to tell you guys there is that book that just came out, Lesbian for a Year, and she's gotten a lot of flack on this. She was a woman down in Australia who said she just happened to fall in love with a woman and stayed with her for a year. She's
a woman down under. I'm sorry.
Yes.
I make that joke.
No, a woman down under. And that's another thing. Are women on the down low? Before we wrap it up, this brings actually, you just walked right into that question. You know, we have this big thing that a lot of gay men are on the down low. So are there women who are on the down low? They're perpetuating this completely heterosexual lifestyle, but then they really are enjoying sex with women much more often?
I've seen ads on Craigslist, not that I've ever been on it, but I have definitely seen plenty of women who are, I don't want to make stereotypes, but housewives, and they will come out as such, and their husbands at work and the kids are at school, like, you know what, I want to play with girls. And
wow.
That's a subculture that exists. That's not somebody that I would get involved with as a real lesbian, you know, just because it's kind of like, I think they should find each other, really.
Right, and you said in the beginning, honesty is really important.
Is the best policy.
To you. So honesty, so whatever, you know, just be honest.
Yeah,
so that's the message. You know, whether you're a lesbian, whether you want to experiment with women, however you want to explore this female to female sexuality, just remember honesty is the most important part, says our representative of all lesbians in the world.
Yeah.
And today's learning points are: lots of ladies are sexually attracted to women. More than 20% of women in some places identify as lesbian or bisexual. 2. Sexual attraction between females is not a choice. It is an irrepressible part of some women's genetic makeup. 3. Regardless of sexual orientation, the brain is the most active and responsive sexual organ. Even lesbians who understand and appreciate each other have to work on keeping the spark alive, and sometimes that involves penile penetration without a man. So stay smart about sex by talking to your partner about sexual satisfaction, desires, and fun ways to keep intimacy exciting. You say I'm too late, that I can't keep a date, but I finally found a mate. Yes, I found a mate. I just got some sense and shook it on, and turned him on. Awesome, girl. You're buying all the sense-stimulating body oil. Must have a hot weekend ahead. Are you kidding? Sense has saved my love life. Everybody who smells me gets aroused. Get yours today at drsonjia.com. And today's homework is go to sexinSouthBeach.com, join the VIP list so you can get free stuff for better sex, and check me out on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter for your daily dose of nooky knowledge.